When we think about global Islamic heritage, our minds usually, well, almost always, jump straight to the Middle East. But for this explainer, we're actually heading far out to the vibrant shores of the Indian Ocean. Eastern Sri Lanka hosts a truly distinct Islamic identity, one that's been remarkably shaped by rich regional traditions and an ancient, highly synthesized sociocultural structure. It's basically a fascinating look at how human societies adapt, blend, and create something entirely unique over centuries. And that brings us to the core mystery we're diving into today. How exactly did an ancient, locally rooted matrilineal clan system, meaning, descent is traced entirely through the mother, become the absolute backbone of an Islamic community in this region? We're going to explore this incredible synthesis of Islamic beliefs and local matriarchal roots that created what is known as the Kudi system. It is literally a masterclass in deep cultural adaptation. Section 1. Cultural Synthesis of the East. I love this classic 1889 definition by the British anthropologist E.B. Tylor. He describes culture as a complex whole. So, why does this matter for us? Because human societies don't just exist in a vacuum. They dynamically adapt to their environment, their climate, and the people living right next door. The coastal landscape of eastern Sri Lanka was a massive hub for maritime trade routes. We're talking about Arab, Persian, and South Asian merchants coming into direct contact with native populations, which sparked this remarkable cultural evolution over time. The crucial point here is that early human societies, including those in this specific region, often evolved around matrilineal kinship groups. This means you figure out your family tree and your inheritance by following your mother's lineage, not your father's. And what's absolutely captivating is that the Muslim communities in the eastern Sri Lankan region specifically held on to this maternal continuity. They integrated it completely seamlessly, while still fully maintaining their core religious Islamic beliefs. Let's move on to Section 2, Origins of the Matrilineal System. Ancient oral traditions and historical palm leaf manuscripts lay out this fascinating sequence of events. Picture this. First, you had a serious territorial conflict between two local groups, the Mukuvars and the Timilars. Right in the middle of this, Afghan Pathan Muslim traders arrived and provided vital military aid to the Mukuvars. Following their victory, these Pathan traders made a highly strategic choice. They elected to take local brides rather than material wealth, and that choice permanently cemented a matrilineal lineage for their descendants. So, according to the historical narrative, when asked what reward they wanted for their help, gold, land, or women, the Pathan traders chose women, leading to marriage into 7 local clans. Because they married into these already existing matrilineal structures, the lineage of these new Muslim families passed directly through the maternal line. This historical alliance is the bedrock, the very foundation of the modern Kudi system we see today. Section 3, the diverse Kudi structured. 74. Just let that number sink in for a second. Through observations across modern eastern regions like Sementhore, Akarai, Patu, and Saindamaruthu, researchers have identified exactly 74 distinct matrilineal clans currently thriving within the local Muslim community. This wasn't just some small, isolated historical blip. It expanded over centuries into a highly organized, deeply rooted societal structure governing thousands of people. When you look at the naming conventions of these 74 clans, the sheer diversity is incredible. Some clans are named after geographical places like Koskorogara, Kudi. Others actually carry royal Sinhalese names like Ranasinghe Mudali, which shows this deep cross-cultural integration. Many proudly feature matriarchal identifiers like Nachi, while others denote specific trades or honorifics like Odevi, which means carpenter. The Kudi names are basically a living, breathing map of the region's diverse history. Okay, so the absolute most important takeaway here is how egalitarian the Kudi system is. There is an absolute absence of a caste-based hierarchy. Every single one of those 74 clans shares completely equal social standing. Nobody is above or below another clan. Plus, these clan names aren't rigidly static. They organically evolve over time as populations shift around. Now, it is worth noting that as you travel further north up the eastern coast, the strict adherence to this matrilineal system does gradually begin to fade. Section 4. Clan Symbols and Equality. To keep all this organized, each Kudi developed specific mechanisms to preserve its unique identity. They essentially used unique award symbols and branding to distinctly identify communal property and livestock. For instance, sacred cattle that were dedicated to local mosques often carried crescent markings denoting their specific clan. These symbols were hyper-localized, varying significantly from village to village, and were absolutely vital for ensuring internal equality and clear matrilocal inheritance, meaning the land stayed with the women of the family.
finally, Section 5, Preserving a Unique Heritage.
It turns out Eastern Sri Lanka isn't entirely alone in this. When we look across the sea to Kerala, India, we find the Mappila Muslims of the Malabar coast. They historically practice the Marmakatayam system, which is also a maternal kinship system. Both of these coastal trading communities share this broader South Asian tapestry. They've maintained deep, strong matrilineal roots while faithfully practicing Islam side by side. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. How does preserving these hyper-local, unique historical alliances reshape our modern understanding of global Islamic heritage? Because when we study resilient, adaptable systems like the Kudi clans, it completely shatters these monolithic, one-size-fits-all views of culture. It reveals a dynamic, deeply synthesized, and beautifully complex human history that is still very much alive today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the history around you.